Welcome to COIS ADMN 1620, Introduction to Information Systems. This is Chapter 7, E-Business and E-Commerce. Learning Objectives. Describe the 8 common types of electronic commerce. Describe the various online services of business-to-consumer electronic commerce, providing specific examples of each. Describe 3 business models for business-to-business electronic commerce. Identify the ethical and legal issues related to electronic commerce along with examples. Chapter Outline. 1. Overview of e-business and e-commerce. 2. Business-to-consumer electronic commerce. 3. Business-to-business electronic commerce. And 4. Ethical and legal issues in e-business. Opening case, Walmart. What we want you to think about here is, are you a lowest price shopper? How would you use features offered by Walmart and its online store? How do software capabilities enable the shopping options being provided by Walmart? Overview of e-business and e-commerce. We're going to talk about definitions and concepts, types of e-commerce, major e-commerce mechanisms, electronic payment mechanisms, and benefits and limitations of e-commerce. Definitions and concepts. Electronic commerce, EC or e-commerce. The process of buying, selling, transferring, or exchanging products, services, or information via computer networks, including the internet. Electronic business, or e-business. A broader concept than e-commerce that also includes servicing customers, collaborating with business partners, and performing electronic transactions within an organization. Types of organizations and their degree of digitization. Brick and mortar, purely physical organizations, no EC. Virtual organizations, pure play, digital-only organizations, only EC. Clicks and mortar organizations, partial e-commerce with a primary physical presence. Types of e-commerce. Business-to-consumer, B2C. Business-to-business, B2B. Consumer-to-consumer, C2C. Business-to-employee, B2E. E-government, G2C or G2B. Mobile commerce, M-commerce. Social commerce, conversational or chat commerce. The first 4 types of e-commerce should be fairly self-evident. E-government, G2C or G2B refers to government to consumer or government to business. So it just depends on which government services are being used, whether it's a business using them or an individual using them. Mobile commerce refers to e-commerce that is conducted entirely in a wireless environment, for instance, using cell phones to shop over the internet. Social commerce is the delivery of e-commerce through social computing. Conversational commerce is also called chat commerce and refers to electronic commerce using messaging and chat apps to offer a daily choice, often personalized, of a meal, a product, or a service. Table 7.1, E-commerce business models. Online direct marketing. Manufacturers or retailers sell directly to customers. It's very efficient for digital products and services. An example is Amazon. Electronic tendering system. Businesses request quotes from suppliers, uses B2B with a reverse auction mechanism. Name your own price. Consumers decide how much they are willing to pay. An intermediary tries to match with a provider. An example is Priceline. Find the best price. Customers specify a need. An intermediary compares providers and shows the lowest price. Customers must accept the offer in a short time or they may lose the deal. For example, hotwire.com. Affiliate marketing. Vendors ask partners to place logos or banners on partners' sites. If customers click on a logo, go to the vendor's site and make a purchase, then the vendor pays commissions to the partners. Viral marketing. Recipients of your marketing notices send information about your product to their friends. Group purchasing or e-co-ops. Small buyers aggregate demand to create a large volume. The group then conducts tendering or negotiates a low price. Online auctions. Companies run auctions of various types on the internet, very popular in consumer to consumer, but gaining ground in other types of e-commerce as well. eBay is an example. Product customization. Customers use the internet to self-configure products or services. Sellers then price them and fulfill them quickly, build to order, such as Dell. Electronic marketplaces and exchanges. Transactions are conducted efficiently. More information to buyers and sellers, lower transaction costs in electronic marketplaces, which can be private or public. Bartering online. Intermediary administers online exchange of surplus products, or company receives points for its contribution, which it can then use to purchase other needed items. For example, www.bbu.com. Deep discounters. Company offers deep price discounts, appeals to customers who consider only price in their purchasing decisions. eBay is an example. Membership. Only members can have access to the content and services. For instance, Netflix. Major e-commerce mechanisms. Electronic catalogs. Electronic auctions, of which you have reverse auctions and forward auctions. Forward auctions are the more common type of auctions, as you would find on eBay, where someone puts something for sale and people bid against each other. The highest price wins. A reverse auction is when a buyer puts an RFQ, a request for quote, up, and suppliers bid lower and lower, and generally, everything else being equal, the lowest bid is the one that gets to supply whatever the RFQ was for. Electronic storefronts, e-malls or cyber malls, and electronic marketplaces. An electronic marketplace is just a central virtual market where many buyers and sellers conduct e-commerce and e-business activities. They're part of the B2B electronic commerce, and we're going to learn about them a little later on. Electronic payment mechanisms. We have electronic checks or e-checks. We have electronic cards, of which there are electronic credit or debit cards, purchasing cards, stored value money cards, or EMV smart cards. And we have digital online payments or payment gateways. E-checks are primarily used in B2B and are similar to regular paper checks, except that they're electronic. The customer establishes a checking account with the bank, and then they buy a product or service, and they email an encrypted electronic check to the seller that the seller can then deposit. Electronic cards, there's a whole bunch of different varieties. An electronic credit or debit card, you can charge online payments to their credit or debit card account. They're used primarily in business to consumer and in shopping by small to medium enterprises. Purchasing cards are the B2B equivalent of electronic credit cards. Stored value money cards allow you to store a fixed amount of prepaid money and then spend it as necessary. Each time you use the card, the amount is reduced by the amount that you've spent. A Presto card is a good example, which allows you to take the GO bus or GO train in Toronto, Hamilton, and Ottawa. Europay, MasterCard, Visa, or EMV smart cards, which are the ones that contain a chip that can store a large amount of information, as well as a magnetic stripe for backward compatibility. EMV is a technical standard for smart payment cards. They can be physically swiped through a reader, inserted into a reader, or read over a short distance using near-field communications such as the tap. EMV cards are also called chip and pin, or in the States, chip and signature, depending on the authentication methods employed by the card issuer. A digital online payment through a payment gateway is the virtual equivalent of a physical point of sale terminal located in a retail outlet. Figure 7.1, how e-credit cards work. As you can see from the figure, there are 9 steps in the process. We'll start with when you purchase a book from Amazon. Your credit card information and purchase amount are encrypted in your browser. You'll note that in any legitimate site, the browser is going to start with HTTPS for secure. This procedure ensures that the information is safe while it's traveling along the internet to Amazon. When your information gets to Amazon, it's not opened, rather it goes automatically still encrypted, to a clearinghouse where it's decrypted for verification and authorization. The clearinghouse asks the bank that issued you your credit card to verify your credit card information. Your card issuer bank verifies the credit card information and reports this to the clearinghouse. The clearinghouse reports the result of the verification of your credit card to Amazon, and Amazon reports a successful purchase and amount to you. Your card issuer bank sends funds in the amount of the purchase to Amazon's bank. Your card issuer bank notifies you, either electronically or in your monthly statement, of the debit on your credit card. And finally, Amazon's bank notifies Amazon of the funds credited to its account. Figure 7.2, example of a purchasing card. These are used, as you may recall, between businesses in B2B transactions. There is no loading of this card. This just ensures that the company that issues the purchasing card has an agreement with the vendor, and they are extended usually 30 days of credit. When I worked for the Government of Ontario and operated a fleet vehicle, they had a purchasing card for gas. Figure 7.3, the Presto card is an example of a stored value money card. So we talked about that already as well. The Presto card you have to load with funds, and then you can take the GO train in various locations. Figure 7.4, smart cards are frequently multi-purpose. This one appears to have several networks that it's valid for. The leading providers of payment gateway accounts are PayPal, Authorize.net, CyberSource, and VeriSign. The benefits and limitations of e-commerce. The benefits are national and international markets are more accessible. It lowers the cost of processing, distributing, and retrieving information. It provides access to a vast number of products and services 24/7. It delivers information, services, and products to people in cities, rural areas, and developing countries. The limitations are: there is a lack of universally accepted security standards. In less developed countries, telecommunications bandwidth is often insufficient, and web access can be expensive. There are also the perceptions that e-commerce is insecure. Business to consumer, B2C, electronic commerce. We're going to talk about electronic storefronts and malls, online service industries, and issues in e-tailing. Electronic storefronts and malls. Overall, as a general statement, business-to-business e-commerce is much larger than business-to-consumer by volume, but business-to-consumer is more complex. Business-to-consumer involves a large number of buyers making millions of diverse transactions per day from a relatively small number of sellers. Consider Amazon, which is obviously a huge online retailer. It offers thousands of products to its customers. Each customer purchase is relatively small, but Amazon has to manage each and every transaction as if that customer was the most important customer. The company needs to process each order quickly and efficiently and ship the products to the customer in a really timely manner. It also has to manage returns, and you have to multiply that by millions of customers and transactions, and that gives you an idea of how complex business-to-consumer e-commerce can be. Overall, business-to-business complexities tend to be more business-related. Electronic retailing, or e-tailing, is the direct sale of products and services through electronic storefronts or electronic malls, which are usually designed around an electronic catalog format. We've previously talked about electronic storefronts, which are websites that represent a single store. Each storefront has a unique URL or internet address where the buyers can place orders. Large businesses have dedicated teams of professionals in charge of building and maintaining their electronic storefronts. An electronic mall, also known as a cyber mall or an e-mall, is a collection of individual shops that is grouped under a single internet address. Electronic malls may include thousands of vendors. There is something called Microsoft Bing Shopping, which is www.bing.com/shop. And apparently there are tens of thousands of products from thousands of vendors that are available there. It's About Business 7.1, Shopify. We'd like you to consider, what features do you use when you visit an e-storefront? How does the quality of the vendor's website affect your buying decisions? Online services industry, disintermediation, financial technology, also known as fintech, online securities trading, the online job market, travel services, and online advertising. Disintermediation is the removal of intermediaries, which are also known as middlemen. Middlemen have a couple of functions. They provide information and they perform value-added services such as consulting. However, the first function can be fully automated and most likely will be assumed by e-marketplaces and portals that provide the information for free. When that happens, the intermediaries who perform only or primarily this function are likely to be eliminated. The process whereby intermediaries are eliminated is called disintermediation. The idea being that the savings is passed on to the end consumer. Fintech is talked about widely these days, often with respect to the blockchain. There are a lot of fintech promised revolutionary breakthroughs. Fintech is an industry composed of companies who use technology to compete in the marketplace with traditional financial institutions and intermediaries in the delivery of financial services. So that's banking, insurance, real estate, and investing. Fintech is generally thought to be disruptive technologies affecting the financial services industry. Online securities trading. Many Canadians would use a computer to trade shares, bonds, and other financial instruments. A lot of well-known securities companies, including Questrade, TD Direct Investing, Scotia iTrade, or E-Trade, Ameritrade, and Charles Schwab in the United States, offer only online trading because it's cheaper than a full service or discount broker. The online job market. Job seekers use online job market sites such as careerbuilder.ca, indeed.ca, monster.ca, and linkedin.com to help them find available positions. Travel services. The internet is ideal as a place to plan, explore, and arrange almost any trip economically. Online travel services allow you to purchase air tickets, reserve hotel rooms, and rent cars. Examples are Expedia.ca, Travelocity.ca, and Trivago.ca. Online advertising. Online advertising redefines the advertising process because we can make it media-rich, dynamic, and interactive. It improves on traditional forms of advertising for those reasons. Online ads can be updated anytime at minimal cost and can therefore be kept current. They can reach very large numbers of potential buyers all over the world. They're generally cheaper than radio, television, and print ads, and they can be interactive and targeted to specific interest groups or individuals. It's about Business 7.2, financial technology, fintech. What we want you to consider here is, how could you improve the way you process your financial transactions? How many different methods do you use to pay for products or services? Business models used to increase the number of impressions, advertising. You can increase internet traffic, which is difficult given that most people in the developed world already have internet access. You can place more and more intrusive ads on web pages, such as banners, pop-up ads, pop-under ads, or spamming via email. Spamming is considered the indiscriminate distribution of electronic ads without the permission of the recipient. Native advertising. Native advertising consists of ads that are disguised as content. Because they appear to be content, ad blockers cannot block them. However, many users do become confused about whether they are reading independent content or an ad. Offer premium content. You can avoid the online ad problem by offering premium content in search of higher value advertising that targets a premium audience. Use reports and non-advertising revenue sources. You could build a research business selling high-value reports to companies who are willing to pay for useful information. Issues in e-tailing. Channel conflict and multi-channeling, order fulfillment, and personalized pricing. Channel conflict is when a click-and-mortar company tries to sell online and they run into a conflict with the regular distributors. This channel conflict can alienate their distributors, So you've got companies like Walmart, Lowe's, and Home Depot that would rather have customers come into their stores. While they maintain an e-commerce website, they place more emphasis on providing information such as products, prices, specials, and store locations than in actually making online sales. Order fulfillment. When a company sells directly to customers, it has to undergo several order fulfillment activities. It's got to find the products to be shipped, pack them, arrange for the packages to be delivered speedily to the customer's door, collect the money from every customer, either in advance or COD, or by individual bill, and handle the return of unwanted or defective products. Personalized pricing. In the relationship between buyers and sellers, price has traditionally been a meeting point. The practice of setting a fixed price for a good or service, which appeared in the 1860s, eliminated the need to haggle. Each party surrendered something in this relationship. Buyers were forced to accept or not accept the fixed price on the price tag. In return, retailers gave up the ability to exploit customers' varying willingness to pay more for a particular good or service. So consumers nowadays are accustomed to standardized pricing, which means that when a product is sold through multiple channels, the cost should not vary by much more than the difference in shipping, taxes, and distribution costs. If the price is higher for a product at a certain retailer, then customers can easily use the internet to compare prices and features among a huge number of retailers to purchase the product from another retailer, a process known as showrooming. Personalized pricing is the practice of pricing items at a point determined by a particular customer's perceived ability to pay. The optimal outcome of personalized pricing for the merchant is maximizing the price that each customer will pay. Business to business, B2B, electronic commerce. We're going to talk about sell-side marketplaces, buy-side marketplaces, and electronic exchanges. Sell-side marketplace. Key mechanisms for sell-side marketplaces are forward auctions, electronic catalogs, and third-party auction sites. In the sell-side marketplace model, organizations sell their products or services to other organizations electronically from their own private e-marketplace website or from a third-party website. It's very similar in concept to the B2C model, in which the buyer is expected to come to the seller's site, view catalogs, and place an order. In the B2B sell-side marketplace, however, the buyer is an organization. The key mechanisms are forward auctions and electronic catalogs that can be customized for each large buyer. A seller like Dell Computer uses auctions extensively. In addition to conducting auctions from their own websites, organizations can use third-party auction sites like eBay to liquidate items. Companies such as Ariba are helping organizations to auction old assets and inventories. The sell-side model is used by hundreds of thousands of companies. Buy-side marketplace. Buy-side marketplace's model includes procurement, purchasing, reverse auction, e-procurement, and group purchasing. The buy-side marketplace is a model in which organizations attempt to procure needed products or services from other organizations electronically. A major method of procuring goods and services in the buy-side model is the reverse auction, which we've talked about previously. The buy-side model uses electronic commerce technology to streamline the procurement process. The goal is to reduce both the costs of items procured and the administrative expenses involved in procuring them. Procurement by using electronic support is referred to as e-procurement. E-procurement uses reverse auctions, particularly group purchasing. In group purchasing, multiple buyers combine their orders so that they constitute a large volume and therefore attract more seller attention. When buyers place a combined order on a reverse auction, they can also negotiate a volume discount. Typically, the orders of small buyers are aggregated by a third-party vendor, such as Mohawk MedBuy, which is a group purchasing platform for Canadian hospitals. Electronic exchanges. Private exchanges, and there are three basic types of public exchanges: vertical, horizontal, and functional. Private exchanges have one buyer and many sellers. Electronic marketplaces or e-marketplaces are called public exchanges or just exchanges, and they're independently owned by a third party, and they connect many sellers with many buyers. Vertical exchanges connect buyers and sellers within a given industry. Vertical e-marketplaces offer services that are particularly suited to the community that they serve. Horizontal exchanges connect buyers and sellers across many industries. They're used primarily for MRO materials. Examples of exchanges are Trader's City, Global Sources, and Alibaba. MRO stands for Maintenance, Repair, and Operations. Functional exchanges provide needed services such as temporary help or extra office space that are traded on an as-needed basis. An example of this type of exchange is the website Airbnb, which matches temporary accommodations with interested parties. It's About Business 7.3, Amazon's B2B marketplace. What we want you to consider here is, would you pay more to a local distributor with whom you have a high-quality relationship instead of using Amazon? Why or why not? Could Amazon put small distributors out of business? Why or why not? Ethical and legal issues in e-business. We're going to talk about ethical issues, and we're going to talk about legal and ethical issues specific to e-commerce. Ethical issues. Threats to privacy and potential job loss. Threats to privacy come in two forms. The first is that the e-business knows an awful lot about who the buyers are and tracks a lot of buyer information. They may use encryption to protect this information, but they may also be compromised, thus revealing information that the buyer doesn't want them to. The other privacy issue is around tracking. For example, individuals' activities on the internet can be tracked by cookies. Cookies store your tracking history on your personal computer's hard drive, and anytime you go back to that website, the server recognizes the cookie. Antivirus software packages routinely search for potentially harmful cookies. In addition to the threats to privacy, the use of e-commerce may eliminate the need for some of a company's employees, as well as brokers and agents. The manner in which the unneeded employees are treated can raise ethical issues. How should a company handle the layoffs? Should companies be required to retrain employees for new positions? If not, how should the company compensate or otherwise assist the displaced workers? Legal and ethical issues specific to e-commerce. Fraud on the internet, domain names, cyber squatting, taxes and other fees, and copyright. Online sales in Canada are projected to reach $108 billion by 2023, so the risk for potential fraud is also on the rise. About 80% of fraud occurs online, over the phone, or through mail, although only a fraction of it gets reported to authorities. In 2018, Canadians were scammed for a reported $121 million, according to the Better Business Bureau of Canada. Another legal issue is competition over domain names. Domain names are assigned by central nonprofit organizations who check for conflicts and possible infringement on trademarks. A domain name is considered legal when the person or business who owns that name has operated a legitimate business under that name for some time. Cyber squatting is the practice of registering or using domain names for the purpose of profiting from the goodwill or the trademark that belongs to someone else. The Anti-Cyber Squatting Consumer Protection Act of 1999 permits trademark owners in the United States to sue for damages in such cases. In offline sales, most provinces tax business transactions that are conducted within their jurisdiction. For online sales in Canada, we must pay a federal tax on most items that we purchase. In most of our provinces, we also pay a provincial tax, such as the QST in Quebec. However, in some provinces, such as Ontario and Nova Scotia, federal and provincial taxes are combined into a single harmonized sales tax, or HST. As a general rule, it's the responsibility of the e-commerce retailer to collect the federal and provincial taxes that correspond to the address of the buyer. Aside from the sales tax, there's a question about whether and where electronic sellers should pay business license taxes, franchise fees, gross receipts taxes, excise taxes, privilege taxes, and utility taxes. How should that tax collection be controlled? Legislative efforts to impose taxes on e-commerce are opposed by an organization named the Internet Freedom Fighters. We saw in Chapter 4 that intellectual property is protected by copyright laws and cannot be used freely. This point is significant because many people mistakenly believe that once they purchase a piece of software, they have the right to share it with others. In fact, what they have bought is the right to use the software, not the right to distribute it. That right remains with the copyright holder, and copying material from websites without permission is a violation of copyright laws. It's very difficult to protect intellectual property rights in e-commerce because e-commerce involves hundreds of millions of people in 200 countries with all sorts of different copyright laws. It's about Business 7.4, Fraudulent Affiliate Marketing. What we want you to consider here is, what is your primary source for product referrals? Does it include web-based services? Based on this case, are you going to change the way you work with banner ads? Why or why not? In the closing case, Amazon. What we want you to think about here is, how have recent local and worldwide events encouraged online rather than in-person shopping? Which products do you prefer to purchase in person? Would you switch to buying from Amazon? Why or why not? That brings us to the end of this chapter's lecture. Thank you for your attention.